Inside this bag is exactly $100,000 in cash. Take a good look. Imagine it belongs to you. What's the first thing you'd do? Maybe you'd buy that luxury car you've been eyeing. Perhaps a first-class trip around the world, or the kind of high-end tech most people only dream of. But here is the cold, hard truth. You can't spend a single cent of it. You have a massive problem. This money is dirty because you earned it on the street, moving product for a cartel. You're a dealer, and you need to get this cash back to your bosses in another country. What are your options? Take it to a bank? Forget it. The teller will ask questions, the system will flag the deposit, and within an hour, the government is knocking on your door. Pack it in a suitcase and hop on a plane? Customs dogs can smell that much ink from 30 yards away. Mail it? One X-ray scan and your career is over. You are stuck. You are sitting on a fortune that is completely useless until you wash it, until you make it look legal. And in today's world of total surveillance, that is supposed to be impossible. And yet, every single day, $50 million in drug money vanishes from the streets of just one American city without triggering a single bank alarm. Multiply that by every major city on Earth. We are talking about trillions. Between 3 and 5% of the entire global GDP consists of criminal proceeds. That's $4 trillion a year. Drugs, human trafficking, illegal arms, poaching. All of it requires liquidity. There is a system that allows these mountains of cash to move from one side of the planet to the other without any government, police force, or intelligence agency seeing a single penny move. It is an invisible web connecting illegal gold mines in the Congo, cartels in Mexico, the Italian mafia, and ivory poachers with unassuming restaurants in Peru or clothing boutiques in Rome. In this system, the money doesn't travel, it flies. It's like a ghost. And catching a ghost is almost impossible. To understand how today's criminals are outsmarting the world's most sophisticated banking systems, we have to go back in time. We are in China during the Tang Dynasty, one of the golden ages of history. The capital is buzzing, trade is booming, and the currency of the day is copper coins. Imagine you are a merchant. You've just sold a massive harvest of tea to the elites in the capital. You're paid in a giant, unimaginably heavy sack of copper coins. Your home province is weeks away. If you carry that weight with you, bandits on the road will slit your throat before you've crossed the first mountain. So, you have a brilliant idea. You go to a trusted, powerful financier in the capital and hand over all your cash. In exchange, he scribbles a message on a tiny, light piece of paper. He tells you, "When you get home, go to my business partner and show him this." When you arrive, you show the paper to the local merchant. Because he trusts his friend in the capital implicitly, he pays you the full amount out of his own pocket. This was the birth of Fei-Chien, or flying money. It was the first form of paper currency, based entirely on mirrored transactions and absolute trust. You got your money, and the merchants settled the debt between themselves later in a different way. This system survived for over 1,000 years. As millions of Chinese immigrants spread across the globe, they were often excluded from official financial systems. So, they built Chinatowns, enclaves based on loyalty, blood ties, honor, and self-sufficiency. They created their own global banking system, completely closed to outsiders. Today, this ancient, trust-based network has been hijacked by powerful criminal organizations, and it works exactly the same way it did during the Tang Dynasty. Let's bring this into the modern world. Meet Mr. Chen. He lives in China, he's a successful businessman, and he makes a lot of money, all of it legal. He wants to buy a $2 million luxury apartment in Miami, but he has a problem. The Chinese government, to prevent capital flight, has a strict limit. A citizen cannot take more than $50,000 out of the country per year. A legal transfer for $2 million is impossible. At the same time, in Chicago, a dealer for a Mexican drug cartel has the opposite problem. He just collected $2 million in small bills from the streets. It is incredibly dirty cash, and he needs to send it to his bosses in Mexico. Both men go to the underground bankers, the Chinese brokers. Mr. Chen pays his legal $2 million into the broker's account in China, perhaps breaking it up into dozens of small transfers. The broker in China opens an encrypted messaging app and pings his partner in the US. "I have a client. His cousin will come to you in Chicago. Here is the password." Simultaneously, the dealer in Chicago drops off his $2 million in dirty cash to that same US broker. When Mr. Chen's cousin shows up at the broker's shop in Chicago and says the password, he is handed that exact $2 million from the drug deals. The cousin takes the cash, slowly deposits it into various legal family business accounts, and buys that Miami apartment. What just happened? Mr. Chen got his apartment. The US broker now owes the cartel. But the most incredible part? No money ever crossed a border. Mr. Chen's millions stayed in China. The cartel's millions stayed in the US. The authorities are helpless because there is no international wire transfer to track. But wait, the system is out of balance. The broker in China is sitting on Mr. Chen's $2 million, while the cartel in Mexico is getting angry, waiting for their money from the US broker. They have to settle the books. How do they do it? They use something we see every day and never question: global trade. The broker in China owns a front company that manufactures home appliances. The cartel in Mexico owns a front company that sells electronics. The cartel orders a shipment of refrigerators from the Chinese broker worth $10 million. But here's the trick. The broker only invoices them for $8 million. The goods arrive in Mexico. The cartel pays $8 million for $10 million worth of product. They sell the fridges, recouping $10 million in clean Mexican pesos. The missing $2 million, the debt from the Chicago deal, has just been transferred in the form of refrigerators. Customs agents only see boring white appliances. No one analyzes the true market value of hundreds of thousands of containers. In the underworld, the math just works. If you think that's complicated, buckle up. When criminal organizations realized how well this worked, they started laundering more than just cash. They started laundering the cargo itself. Meet the totoaba. It's a highly endangered fish found only off the coast of Mexico. Its swim bladder is considered a massive status symbol in traditional Chinese medicine, despite having no proven medicinal value. In China, it sells for tens of thousands of dollars per kilogram. The Sinaloa cartel enters the fishing business. They collect $6 million worth of bladders. They smuggle half of it directly to China, bribing customs and hiding it in roof tiles. The Chinese mafia receives the goods, sells them to the wealthy, and now has $3 million in profit. But they still owe the cartel in Mexico for the product. So, what do? The Chinese mafia buys phenethyl bromide from a legal factory, a completely legitimate chemical used in agriculture. But it also happens to be a primary precursor for fentanyl. They ship these chemicals to Mexico with falsified invoices. The debt is settled. Again, no cash moved across a border. What about the other half of the fish? The cartel smuggles it into the US and hands it to a local Chinese broker. The broker sells the fish for cash. A few hours later, a drug dealer brings him another $10 million in street cash. The broker is now sitting on $13 million in dirty money he needs to get to the cartel. He texts his colleague in Mexico, "Pay the cartel $13 million in pesos. I'll settle with you later." The cartel is happy. They have their money locally in Mexico. But the broker in the US is still sitting on a pile of stinking cash. He has to legalize it. He opens a discount electronics store. He orders goods from China worth $14 million. Except the containers are actually filled with cheap counterfeit watches and cameras worth a fraction of that. He pays for the shipment with his dirty cash. The money enters the legal financial system as a business expense. Dirt becomes purity. It is a massive, global carousel involving African gold mines, Argentinian firms, and European boutiques. Flying money. Two people who trust each other, cash that never moves. Now ask yourself, what happens when you remove the human entirely? What happens when the paper note becomes a blockchain transaction that settles in 4 seconds, crosses any border on Earth, and leaves a trail so complex that NSA analysts need weeks to follow a single thread? You get the new flying money. It's moving $44 million every single day, right now. In 2025, Chainalysis published a number that stopped financial intelligence agencies cold. Chinese-language money laundering networks processed $16 billion in a single year, 20% of all illicit cryptocurrency on Earth. $44 million a day. And the system running it didn't look like a bank. It didn't look like a cartel. It looked like a Telegram group. Here is how it works. A dealer in Los Angeles has $2 million in street cash. He can't bank it. He can't fly with it. So he finds a Chinese underground broker, the same type Mr. Chen used to buy his Miami apartment. Except this broker doesn't deal in paper notes or refrigerator invoices. He deals in USDT, Tether, a stablecoin pegged to the dollar. Cash handed over in person, converted to crypto through an unofficial exchange. No ID, no questions, no record. Funds in a wallet in under a minute. From there, a mixer blends thousands of transactions until the origin is mathematically untraceable. Then an online casino, out as winnings, into a shell company, into a legitimate business account. Dirty cash from Los Angeles, clean euros in Frankfurt. Under 24 hours, 0 borders crossed, no paper trail. But the casinos are only half the story. The other half is called pig butchering. You receive a message from an attractive stranger, dating app, LinkedIn, a wrong number WhatsApp text. They're warm, patient, intelligent. They don't ask for money, not at first. Weeks pass, then months, then, casually, extraordinary returns on a crypto investment platform. The platform shows real gains until you try to withdraw. By the time you realize your savings are 5 layers deep in laundering infrastructure. Pig butchering grew 40% year-on-year in 2024. Total crypto fraud losses hit $12.4 billion. FBI figures for 2025 put the number above 20 billion. The same underground network servicing the Mexican cartel launders every dollar of it. Now let me tell you about the company at the center of all this. Huione Group, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Connected to the country's ruling political family. On the surface, banking, payments, crypto exchange. Underneath, what Elliptic called the largest illicit online marketplace ever identified. Between 2021 and 2025, $89 billion in crypto assets, $4 billion directly traceable to crime, cartel money, pig butchering proceeds, and North Korean state-sponsored cyber heists. The Lazarus Group stole $1.5 billion in a single attack in early 2025, the largest crypto theft in history. They laundered nearly $100 million per day through Chinese underground networks. Some of it moved through Huione. The same system that started with a Tang Dynasty merchant and a piece of paper was now processing state-sponsored theft for a nuclear program. May 2025, U.S. Treasury designates Huione as a primary money laundering concern. October 2025, American banks ordered to cut all ties. January 2026, founder arrested. April 2026, chairman lands in Beijing in handcuffs. Case closed? Within weeks, vendors migrated to new Telegram channels, new wallets, new services. The operators were gone. The infrastructure was not. You cannot arrest a system. Crypto didn't kill Fei-Chien, it perfected it. The Tang Dynasty merchant needed a trusted partner, a letter, and a password. The modern underground banker needs a Telegram handle, a USDT wallet, and a mixer. The trust is the same. The ledger is still invisible. The money still never crosses a border. It just moves at the speed of light now. Washing drug money, stolen retirement savings, and a North Korean weapons program. simultaneously, invisibly, every second of every day.
So we have a problem. The ancient trust system, untrackable. The refrigerator invoices, invisible. The crypto mixers and telegram channels, mathematically untraceable. How do we know any of this exists at all? How is it possible to uncover secrets that AI, supercomputers, and bank monitoring cannot touch? $16 billion a year moving through a network that leaves no wire transfers, no receipts, and no paper trail that any regulator will ever see. The answer is 2 words: human intelligence. Spies. You cannot send a drone into a system built on trust. You cannot run an algorithm on a handshake. You cannot hack a conversation between 2 men drinking tea in a private room. To crack this, you need people like Andrea Costa, a former security consultant who built what is essentially a private CIA for the environment. He started by trying to catch poachers killing elephants for ivory. He quickly discovered that poaching networks and drug networks use identical channels. He began recruiting former FBI, CIA, and undercover specialists. In this world, there is no room for algorithms. You hire a spy who speaks fluent Mandarin. You send him to Mexico. You give him a fake identity as a millionaire, and you have him drink tea with underworld bosses for months, until he has earned enough trust to be introduced to the next layer. Agents posing as businessmen looking to wash seafood money gain the trust of a Chinese middleman. That middleman introduces them to a corrupt Mexican immigration officer who, for a bribe, allows millions in cash to walk straight through the airport. In these conversations, agents learn things that no algorithm would ever surface. Like ghost ink, criminals coat banknotes in a chemical dye that absorbs radiation, making stacks of cash literally invisible to airport X-ray scanners. No database contained that information. No AI flagged it. A human, sitting across a table, heard it. In August 2025, FinCEN reported that U.S. financial institutions had filed over $312 billion in potential suspicious activity related to Chinese money laundering networks over 5 years. $312 billion. And yet, in 2025, 3 members of one Chinese laundering organization pleaded guilty in the same week. Tens of millions laundered. Years of investigation. One case. Building a single spy network. Securing a single piece of evidence. It takes months, sometimes years. Meanwhile, the network processes $44 million today, and tomorrow, and the day after. Time is not on the side of the law. And here we are, a 1,000-year-old system that started with a tea merchant and a piece of paper, now running on Telegram, USDT, and military-grade encryption, servicing drug cartels, pig butchering compounds, North Korean state hackers, and troll farms through the same invisible infrastructure. Governments are waking up. Task forces are being formed. In December 2025, the U.S. Senate held a hearing specifically about this system, titled, with remarkable precision, Dirty Money, Chinese Organized Crime in Latin America. But the brutal truth is that these are scratches on the monster's armor. Why? Because you cannot change the incentives faster than the network adapts. Police and customs agencies are judged by statistics. It is faster and easier to arrest a smuggler with a backpack of weed at the border than to spend 5 years untangling fake refrigerator invoices, crypto mixers, and Telegram escrow services across 4 continents. Until we change how we reward law enforcement, nobody will truly challenge the real players. And the real players know it. You might think, why does this affect me? Here is why. The same network that launders cartel drug money also launders the proceeds of the pig butchering scam that emptied your neighbor's retirement account. The same infrastructure that moves fentanyl precursors from China to Mexico also moves the money from the troll farms that interfere with elections. The same underground brokers who helped Mr. Chen buy his Miami apartment also helped North Korean hackers convert stolen crypto into usable currency. One system, every crime. In 2025, cybercrime losses exceeded $20 billion. Crypto fraud alone, $11 billion. The people over 60 lost the most, $7.7 billion. Retirement savings, life savings, gone. Through a system that has been operating in one form or another since the Tang Dynasty. Without this invisible laundry infrastructure, most of the world's organized crime would collapse. It would lose its purpose. Because in the end, the question is always the same one we started with. You are sitting on a fortune, in a bag, on a table. What is the point of having all the money in the world if you can't spend it? This system exists to answer that question, and right now it is answering it very, very well. Let me know in the comments what you think about this shadow system. I'll see you in the next one.